Here we are once again, hitting up yet another 10-minute walk. We were doing a podcast yesterday. During the podcast, hopefully that sun's not blinding you guys too bad. During the podcast, my boy, Andrew Zaragoza, said I went to go on a 10-minute walk the other day, and I walked for like 2 miles, which obviously is not a 10-minute walk. And it made me think, what a great YouTube video. Like, that'd be awesome. I went for a 10-minute walk and it ended up taking 20 minutes, right? I went for a 10-minute walk and it ended up taking a half an hour. I went for a 10-minute walk and I was gone for 2 hours. I walked 2 miles. I share this all the time, but I can't say it enough. Incremental progress. When we go to the gym and we lift some weights, we're trying to increase muscle mass. We're trying to get bigger, or we're trying to get stronger, right? We're trying to gain muscle. We're trying to transform our body so that we look better, so that we feel better. We know that deep down inside, the more that we can handle and the more that we can do, the more resilient we will be to life. So literally, when we go to the gym, we lift those weights. We're lifting weights in the gym, but we're lifting the resistance that life gives us, right? Because we're trying to inoculate ourselves. We're trying to make ourselves more resilient to the resistance that's out there. Well, how do we do this? How do we get going? I know a lot of you that follow me, I know a lot of you that subscribe to this channel, you're already doing it. You're already training. You're already lifting. You're already doing some cardio. You're already eating pretty good. You're already doing a lot of these things, but I see a lot of people self-sabotaging themselves. And I have some reasons for that. It's my belief the self-sabotage comes from being too strict or too hard on ourselves. We're trying to force ourselves to do things that we really don't want to do. We're really not that interested in doing it. Otherwise, it'd be easier to do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't cheat on your diet. So what I like to share all the time is we need small incremental progress. That's why it's a 10-minute walk. When you go on a 10-minute walk, if it ends up being 2 hours here and there, that's great, that's fine. But if your 10-minute walk conversation in your head turns into, oh, I don't have time for a walk because I normally walk for 2 hours, you made a huge mistake. If you think that you need to diet and that you need to not eat any carbohydrates, or you think that, when you diet, you have to plummet your calories down so far that it's so demanding that you can barely hold on for 5 days straight, you made a big mistake. If you're in the gym and you're finishing up a workout and you talk yourself out of doing cardio, you made a big mistake. Because you have to basically lie to yourself. You have to give yourself information that's very easy to process. Okay, just got done lifting, just trained some chest, I feel great. Okay, I didn't make an agreement with myself that I wanted to lose weight, and so I should probably hit the cardio up. At that moment, all you need to do is get your ass on the cardio machine. It doesn't matter how long it takes, because your 5 minutes that you convince yourself of is going to turn into 10 minutes. The 10 minutes that you convince yourself of is probably most likely going to turn into 20. And that might be exactly about how much you need if you do it 3 or 4 times a week. Then you're talking about doing over an hour cardio every week, and that sounds pretty spot on to be able to reduce weight and transform your body the way that you're probably looking for. It's small incremental progress. We win in life. It's a win times 3 when we make the right decision and when we do the right thing. And it's a loss back the other way when we do that we're not supposed to do. You stay up late and you're on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, and you have your phone in your bed. You fall asleep with your phone next to you and you went to sleep an hour and a half later than you wanted to. You probably most likely woke up about a half an hour later, and even worse, you're probably very fatigued. So you're going to live the rest of the day being behind. Who's got time for that? Not me. I know that you ain't got time for that, and I know that you don't want that. I know that's not optimal. I think when we're thinking about these choices that we're making, we need to think about them more critically. When you think about, should I eat this pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, should I eat this cake at my birthday, or whatever it is, all those things are okay as long as they're part of a comprehensive plan, because then they're not really necessarily cheating on the diet, they're part of a diet. They're part of what you're doing, kind of an 80-20 rule or a 90-10. However deep you want to go into it, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide what you think you can handle, because all this stuff, it takes a lot of time. That's why it's small, incremental progress over a long period of time. You want to stack it up. Stack it up until it actually starts to look like something, right? So when you're about to make that decision to stop at McDonald's because you woke up late, because you were messing around on your phone and you're tired, you didn't prep a meal, you didn't think about where you're going to eat lunch, now you're in the same position as you were yesterday and probably the day before, you're most likely going to make another bad decision. You're also stressed, work's not going the way you wanted, your boss is up your ass for the day, you're stressed out, you're going to eat your feelings, right? And you otherwise could have made some better choices. You could have prepped a meal, you could have done A, B, or C. You have a lot of other options at hand, but you make excuses. You sell these excuses to yourself and you buy them every single time with credit that you don't have. You keep buying them and you keep getting in greater and greater debt. And over time, you'll be in a huge deficit. And there'll be a price to pay at some point, right? So when you're deciding, hey, should I eat that cake or not? So I want you to run this through your head the next time that you're about to make a bad decision about your food. I want you to say this, hey, do I want to make my stomach fatter than it already is? Like, you know, when you sit down and you got your belly, you know, it will squish down a little bit, no matter how lean you are. I kind of always do that, right? Grab that chunk of fat and tell yourself, hey, yeah, I wish to be fatter. That's what I'm saying when I eat this. I wish to not make progress. You know, I wish that my fat would fold out over my pants even more than it already does. These are the kinds of things that you're saying. That's the message that you're signaling to yourself when you make those bad decisions. Also, when you make that bad decision, not only did you make a bad choice, now you're going to feel bad about it because it's not part of your plan. So there's two screw-ups right there. You ate something that you shouldn't have eaten. You ate something that's, like, you know, off plan. You also consumed more calories than you wanted because it's hard to stop. You're not going to have one piece of cake. You're probably going to have a couple, right? And then also another whammy in there is that you did something, you wasted time on something that you shouldn't have, and that cost you time because now we have to figure out how we're going to work those calories back off again. You also took up some real estate in your stomach for otherwise nutritious, nutrient-dense foods. These foods don't have the nutrients in them that we want, and so we cry out and we're hungry the whole day, and we keep wanting to eat and eat and eat, and we're trying to satisfy our need for protein, and the entire time that's not happening, so we continue to eat calories to try to get to our protein requirement, and when it doesn't happen, you can't stop eating. We need small incremental progress. I want you to treat everything like a 10-minute walk. You're lifting. Like, can you do 10 minutes of lifting? Can you do 10 minutes of hitting a heavy bag? Can you read for 10 minutes? Can you write for 10 minutes? Look at all these things that we can do for 10 minutes. Can you relax for 10 minutes? Can you meditate for 10 minutes? What if you just wrote out like 3-4 things that you wanted to do for 10 minutes? That's another thing. I talk about this often, but I don't personally really like to write stuff down. I don't like having a schedule, but you know what? It helps a lot. Everyone could adhere to a schedule, even people that are the least organized. And research shows that you're 4 times more likely to do something when you not only did you write it down, but you write down kind of a time and a place. You end up becoming very, very accountable. Whereas if you're like, yeah, I'll get that done tomorrow, that's way different, man. That's way different than saying, okay, I'm going to do that tomorrow around 12 o'clock or at 12, you know, not even around 12 o'clock. You write it down. That's when it's going to happen. It's going to happen at 12 o'clock. It's almost as if it already happened. And even further step on that is to invite somebody else in on it. So every morning, since my mother died, me and my dad and my brother are going on 10-minute walks every day. They're not 10-minute walks. They take about 30 minutes, you know, but we still call it a 10-minute walk because we want to kind of cheat the system and lie to ourselves about it. You can lie to yourself in either direction, though, so you got to be careful, right? It's just one piece of cake. I had a really rough week. How many times have you said that to yourself? I had a really rough week. Did you really? What was rough about it? You went to work, you did your job, you did the job that you like. I mean, you chose the job. It's not like you got hunted down to do this job, right? You chose the job, most likely. Every once in a while you're recruited for something, but you're chosen for something, you do something, and you're like, man, that week was really tough. Selling insurance or real estate or whatever the hell it is. Well, it probably felt really difficult to you because there was probably a lot of moments in there where you weren't prepared. You could probably examine the way that you work and your work ethic, the way that you might be starting to examine some of this stuff. Training, fitness, small incremental progress. Imagine there's a bunch of shit that's free and easy to do. Almost every single time I come into work and I see Carlos, he gives me a hug. That's one tiny thing that makes Carlos a little bit different. What can you do that makes you different? Jessica Smith is always pretty happy. She's always smiling. Well, not always, but most of the time. And she almost makes me laugh without her even saying anything. So each person in the office, they got a kind of a special. Smokey will say some joke or we'll mess around about something. And I look forward to that. All these things, they take effort. They cost you a little bit of energy on your end. But could you show up to work early? Could you really communicate a lot with your coworkers and let them kind of know what you're doing and when they can expect this report to be done or when they expect this or that to be done? These are all things you can do. You can apply the 10-minute rule to that. And you can say, you know what, I'm going to take 10 minutes to think about my work a little bit, how I can improve a little bit better. What can I do that's better? You know, how can I present myself better? And you can say, well, you know what, man, I'm really weak in those areas. I don't know if I'll ever improve in those. I hope that I do. Maybe I could take some courses. Maybe I could freshen up on some of that stuff. But where's that low-hanging fruit? Where's the easy stuff? Because again, we don't want to force ourselves to do anything. You don't want to force yourself to do much of anything. You want it to be your own idea. You want it to kind of come from in here. And you don't want the idea, whoa, almost wiped out. You don't want the idea to have a six-pack to be because you saw somebody on Instagram. You want to actually have the six-pack because you want to know what it's like to go on that journey to get a six-pack. Because when you have a set of abs on you, you're not going to be any happier then than you are right now. Disappointed, I know. I know it sounds disappointing, but it's true. You might even be less happy because you're going to be eating less food. You're going to be freaking hungry. Anyway, the whole point of this whole thing, treat everything like a 10-minute walk. And hopefully when you go on a 10-minute walk, you'll come back from it and say, hey, I went out for a 10-minute walk and I walked 2 miles. Hey, I meant to lose 10 pounds and I lost 40. Hey, I meant to do a little bit better at my job, and within 2 years I doubled my income. You know, like these small things. It's going to take time. You got to be patient with it. I know I say it all the time. I know everybody hates it. I don't have a sexy message. You're not going to hear me yell and scream and go crazy on you, which I could do. I don't mind doing that here and there. I used to be a professional wrestler, so I know how to get in some of that mode. But it's not really me, and I don't think that you need that. I think everything that you have is right inside here. And all I'm trying to do, I'm trying to put oxygen on a spark that I already think is inside of you. Because I want to see that turn into a roaring blaze. You know those old school little things that you squeeze and it pumps air into the fireplace and it makes that ash kind of kindle up, and it helps support the fire and turns it into a bigger fire, right? That's what I'm trying to do. You don't need to take it from me. You need to take it from yourself. Everything you need is already inside you. You already have all the answers. You come to this channel for some answers. You listen to some other people for some answers. Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, a lot of great people out there to listen to, right? But the answers, you want the answers, grab a hold of a mirror or grab your phone and put it on selfie mode. There's all the answers you need right there. They're right inside you, but you have to examine them. And most of us aren't willing to do that. I will admit I do that myself, because sometimes it can be painful. Sometimes it can be a pain in the ass. Sometimes it's very time consuming. It's easier just to go on about your day. It's easier just to keep lying to yourself and be like, yeah, everything's fine. sweep it under the rug, you know, sweep it underneath the refrigerator is a good example. At some point, somebody's going to move that refrigerator and see all that bullshit that's underneath there, right? Eventually, it could be a problem. So, anyway, strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.